Hi, I'm James at British Customs. Today we're going to be talking about our shop Scrambler. It's a 2011 Scrambler 900, and it's been through a lot of changes and a lot of parts were designed for our Scrambler line. And let's go over some of the stuff we came up with. So one of the first things we developed for this bike was the shotgun slip-ons. We wanted a more raw, vintage look than the stock pipe that's a little too bulky and polished looking for a Scrambler style bike. These look real simple, but inside there's stuff going on in here. It's designed, tuned properly for performance and sound. These are a very loud pipe, probably the loudest pipe that we have. They perform really well. Ernie Vigil took this bike out and really tested it and proved it off-road. This pipe is made right here in-house in Gardena, California. Features a welded-in baffle, and it only comes in a stainless steel finish. It doesn't come in black. We had this whole system ceramic coated professionally, and you can do that too. We just recommend that you get a good professional job done. Spray paint will just burn right off of the pipes. This design has not changed at all. It works so well that we even carried it over to the liquid cooled line. Exact same pipe. So now let's talk about our slammer seat. It's got a flat bench style as opposed to the stock seat, which dips down and locks you in place. This gives you a lot more freedom of movement, and it's got a more vintage styling to it. It goes well with the pipes here and exposes the frame rail here. It sits about 1.5 inches higher than the stock seat, but it looks slimmer just because we took a lot off the bottom here. It features a multi-density foam with a gel insert that can really handle the bumps and the big impacts. Looks like leather, but it's not. It's marine grade vinyl. So it's water resistance, it's not waterproof. You can't leave it sit out in the rain for 2 days, but you can get it wet. You know, if you're riding in the rain, you don't have to worry about it. We took it out to the desert and got it really filthy, and we were able to wash it off with just soap and water and brought it right back to its natural finish there. So for this build, we always wanted to have a fender on it because with a Scrambler, you're riding off-road and everything. You want to keep the fender to keep all the dirt off of you, keep the mud off of you, and it just looks more vintage style. We've had a couple different style fenders on here, but it's always had a fender. And originally we had the pan tail light on here, but we switched out to the retro tail light just because it looks better with the whole style of this bike. Traditionally, when we do our turn signal mounts, we put them over here on the shock, but on this bike, we moved them back over here because we bought some Malay luggage, and when you put it on here, you can't see the turn signal anymore. So we wanted it back here so you can see it. Since we showed you this luggage, we're gonna give you a quick little tutorial on how to put it on. I'm gonna take your seat off. You want to know kind of about where about you want to have your luggage. So once you know where about your bag is going to go, which is going to hook into here. So on this seat, it's right about the second line there, so I know I can keep it there. This doesn't wrap around the fender. It wraps under the seat. So once you have these where you want them, just want to make sure that these are tucked in when you bring it up. So it's a little trial and error. You can see right now this is moving here. The front one seems pretty tight, but the back one I gotta tighten up a little bit more. So take it back off. That looks like it's gonna do it. Get it set nice and centered. So it can be a little bit of a pain getting it set up, but once it's done, it's done. You don't have to keep doing it. okay for anybody to sit on there if you're riding the passenger. This is called the module because this is modular design to work with all the Mallet bags and stuff that you got. It's you could put their duffel bag will fit on here and hooks through these loops, or you have this smaller bag you can connect through these loops here or this way here. For now, we're going to put the side bag on, which connects through here, that side and there. So after you have the bag in place, they give you these straps so you can run these hooks through the sides here and fasten it to your passenger peg here. So we really like these Mallet bags. We know that they work well. This bag itself was actually out on a good 4-day trip into Death Valley, riding on and off road, fully loaded. It even went down a couple times and it still held up to everything there, you know, and it ages real nice, and we really like them. One thing to keep in mind with the Mallet bags is that you cannot put them on the right side on a Scrambler. With this high pipe there, it's just going to melt the bag. So these are our BC tapered bars, 7/8 on the end, 1.125" in the middle, keeps it nice and rigid here. These are not in production yet. We hopefully have them on the website soon. They're 31 inches wide, so we like a nice wide bar on a Scrambler style bike. So for mirrors, we chose the CRG LS style mirrors. We like them here in LA because we do a lot of lane splitting. That's what the LS is for, but they're also handy in the garage or something like that, even just parking anywhere where you need a little extra clearance. So these are made right here in California, and there's a huge difference between these ones and the ones you're getting from overseas at a quarter of the price. They don't last, and they shake all over the place. They don't pivot nice. These are made from 6061 aluminum, have stainless steel hardware, and they really hold up nice. So next we have the ASV F3 levers. They call them unbreakable levers because they fold out when you go down, which happens a lot when you're scrambling. So that helps keep them from breaking. You don't want them breaking on you while you're out there in the desert or something. These come in regular style here or short style for people that want to use a 2-finger or 1-finger. The other cool thing with these is the cam style adjuster. Instead of just being in a 6 position, this you have infinite adjustability here, and they can bring them really close. So you have to reach less for that. And if you got some big old hands, you can have them way out. So one thing you want to be careful with when you're adjusting your clutch side is if you have this all the way in, you're not going to be pulling that cable enough to disengage your clutch. So if you put it into first gear and you're holding that clutch down, it's going to want to lurch forward on you and start walking. So you really want to adjust it until you can put it into first and have it not trying to walk on you. If you pull it in and it's still trying to move forward a little bit, you're not disengaging your clutch, and if you hold it in at a light, you're going to start to burn your clutch out just sitting there. So be aware of that. So the other thing we have here, purely aesthetics, is our direct mount reservoir. It just looks way better than the stock one, so we like that. So another thing that really cleans up the bars is to change the control clamps and get rid of the mirror mounts on there. Really cleans it up nice. Another thing we have here is our 4-bolt risers, which are much firmer clamp load than the 2-bolt per side stock, which want to slip out sometimes when you hit bumps. The bars will get twisted. These will hold a little firmer than that. And we also have riser spacers under here. You can add up to 2 of these. Any more than that, you may want to get a higher rise bar if that's what you're looking for to get these raised up. So while you may see some of this stuff on Amazon or online somewhere, generic risers, they're cheap, made overseas. These are made right here in the US, stainless steel hardware, and top quality. So the next thing we did to clean up this front end is we put the flat gauge adapter, and your stock ones, they sit about this high up here. This lowers it down nice and flat. We have ones for dual gauges if you have a tachometer also. And then in order to do that, we need to lower our headlight down. So while we were doing that, we decided let's put the low profile headlight bucket that we got there. And since we were going that route, we figured we'd go with the low profile ears on here and really tuck everything in nice. Lower it down, and this just looks all nice and clean. So now we also added our adaptive headlight. It's an LED, it's super bright. And one really cool thing with this is these lights that come on the side here. This is why they call it the adaptive headlight. As you go into turns, as you lean into that turn, these will get brighter and brighter and light up the left side or the right side, whichever way you turn. Comes in super handy when you're in the desert and there's no lights anywhere. Really lights up your surroundings. So another thing we designed for this bike is the high mount fender bracket. And what always differs from a lot of other ones that you'll see on the market that have tried to copy it is that ours have a gusset in here that keeps it so it doesn't bend, you know. It stays nice and rigid, keeps it from breaking. And you'll see a lot of copies out there, but they're either made of aluminum and they snap off, or they're just one little flat piece and this will bend and hit stuff and get all scratched up on your fender. The other thing we were concerned about was moving the fender up to the top here and getting rid of this bracket that would lose some rigidity in our forks. But we put it through a lot of testing, a lot of jumps and hard riding, and everything is working very well. The bike's been around for a long time now. Also made in the USA. So another thing we really like for our Scrambler builds is the Continental TKC80 tire. It's 50/50 road and dirt. Other than the obvious, these tires look great and they're real aggressive looking. We love the look of them. They actually handle really well in all different terrains on the street. They do really well for a knobby tire on the street. We like the way they handle, and get them in the sand and they work great. Get them on dirt, they work great. They seem to work pretty well with wet weather too. So we really like the way they work just as much as we like the way they look. Another thing we want to talk about is these wheels by W. We got a Talon hub, spoke to an Excel rim with stainless spokes. This is the 1917 stock configuration on these wheels. And aside from just looking fantastic, they have a lower unsprung weight, which increases the overall performance of the bike. So we also added these Galfer wave rotors, which are a floating rotor design. They're much lighter than stock, which lowers your unsprung weight, which again improves your overall performance. Plus it also improves your braking way better than stock. Much quieter, and they feel better. You can just feel it when you're hitting the brakes. They're much better than stock, and they look freaking killer. So we also added from Triumph's genuine accessory parts a skid plate with the engine guard. This comes in real handy because this heavy bike, about 500 pounds, if you're out there scrambling, your chances of dropping it are pretty good. The more fun you have in it, the more chance you're going to put this thing down, and this is going to protect the motor and everything. Let that take the abuse, and then you can swap that out later on and not have to worry about your motor. So for suspension upgrades, in the back we added some Hagen Nitros, which really increased the performance, especially in the dirt. Stock shocks, they're made for the street and they work well on the street, but in the dirt, they're not so great. And you can do it, but to really have a good ride in the dirt, you need better shocks. In the front, we had Works Performance back in the day set us up with some custom damper rods, which increased the travel by about 2 inches. And let us know in the comments if you think maybe this is something we should start producing. So for the chain, we changed it out and put a DID X-ring chain on there, and the sprocket in the back, we still have the stock sprocket setup, but as far as tooth count goes. But we changed it to a black sprocket with these holes that just look so much better with this wheel. The stock sprocket would have just looked horrible with this beautiful wheel on there. In the front, we added our retro sprocket cover kit with the speed holes. Just looks more streamlined than the stock. That's a nice, good look on there. And when I say speed holes, I don't mean it'll make you go faster. It just looks cool. The other cool thing about this is with the stock cover, you get all the dirt and grime starts piling up and building up in here until it's getting all over the sprocket and everything. With this, it doesn't happen as much. You'll still get stuff in there, but it starts here, so you don't get as much, and it'll clean out real easy when you're cleaning the bike. So for higher performance on this bike, we did an airbox eliminator kit and put K&N air filters on there. We also did a webcam in here, which is what gives us that distinct sound out of this exhaust that you may be looking for that when you put this exhaust on and it doesn't sound quite the same. That's because we put a bigger cam in there. And if you really want that, then you should talk to your local speed shop and see what cam will be right for you, for your riding style, and to get you that kind of sound. We also have a power commander in here, which was installed and tuned by Mickey Cohen Motorsports. For our foot pegs, we have the off-road foot pegs, and these offer a real good grip while having the holes in here to allow the dirt to fall out so you can keep that grip. You don't have a bunch of dirt piling up underneath your foot. And these are adjustable pivot-wise. There's little locating dowels in there. You just move them where you want them and turn the foot peg the way you like it, where you're comfortable. These are made right here in the USA. So on this gas tank, this is a custom tank that we welded in nuts and screwed this down. This is not a stick-on style or magnets or anything like that. It can't go falling off and scratching up the tank. This is not something we sell, and not something that any kind of service that we offer. This is just a one-off for this bike, and that's it. This bike was painted by Anaheim Rod and Customs. They paint the majority of our bikes, and it makes a huge difference when you go with a quality painter that knows what they're doing. This paint job, as simple as it sounds, was inspired by Toyota TRD colors, and you know, super simple, but the color works really well with all the black and this color together. Bike is nice. Let us know what you think in the comments, and thanks for watching.